Hey everybody, this is Jen. Welcome to the homestead and my channel. Today I'm going to give you guys an update of what the brand new garden area is looking like. Be forewarned, we've got a lot of weeds that we're dealing with, but right now I'm picking my battles and that's not one of them. So I'm going to take you out to the garden because there's so much growth and things in just the last week or so, especially with the rain that we got last night. So follow me along right here on Garden Jen's Journey. Alright, we're heading over to my tomato garden area where I started putting some of my tomatoes. Hi, Sarah. Anyways, so this is some tomato plants that I had that we need to get planted, and you can see they're doing really good here. These are all indeterminate varieties. I have Amish paste Roma tomatoes. I also have one that I got from my friend. This is called a midnight Roma. See how darkened that is? And they don't get very big, unfortunately. They're kind of a smaller tomato, but you can see there's a lot of tomatoes on here, and we'll see how they taste. I haven't had any that were quite ripe enough yet to eat, but they're almost there. And we also have black Krim and Paul Robinson tomatoes in here. And I've gotten a couple off here, but they're just starting to turn. The weather has not been right. And then I got this tomato here. It's kind of like a larger cherry tomato. It's supposed to be either Paul Robinson or Black Krim, I'm not sure. But that's not what that is. I'm not sure what that is. Kind of interesting. I'm not saving seeds from any of these plants because they're planted so close together, so I'm not too worried about that one. It does taste really good, even though I'm not sure what it is. But yeah, let me show you the comparison here. I don't know if you saw it just a minute ago, but this is an Amish paste Roma, and you see how big that is. And then the little tiny midnight Roma. You know, there's like no comparison there as far as size. But we'll see how the flavor works out. If I like it, I might get some more next year. I'm not sure. I try to get the most bang for my buck. And yeah, it's okay. Alright, so enough about this garden. Oh, I should show you my comfrey plant. So I did some weeding this morning. This is my comfrey plant. This is about half the size it was yesterday. I gave it a major trim yesterday because I actually dehydrated some and gave some to the chickens. But I grew this from rootstock last year. I put it in the ground late spring this year. I mean, really late in the ground. And it was a tiny plant still. And now it's just ginormous. So it's just amazing. So yeah, this is my comfrey. Alright, over we go to the main garden. Alright, so I'm going to do a panoramic view of what the garden looks like from afar so you can see the full scope of it. Like I said, right now it's full of a lot of weeds. I'm the only one who weeds this bad boy, and it's a lot to do, especially when it rains and then the weeds are like, yay! So and it goes all the way back there where the amaranth is. And I will take you in for a closer look, but I wanted you to see the kind of the scope of this from a distance. So, alright. So I got all sorts of stuff planted in here. This garden, if you just tuning in, was finished, plowed the end of June. So the first week of July I started planting here. This is a brand new garden area. Again, if you're just tuning in, brand new garden space. So this is Michigan, Central Michigan, Zone 5B. And planting that late was, let's just say, a little daunting because we have a short season here. And so I wasn't sure how a harvest would be. But so far things are doing all right, even with the wonky weather. My tomatoes are coming in later. But so far, they're coming in soon enough where I should be able to get a good harvest before the frost. Unlike last year. Last year I didn't get them in the ground soon enough, so the tomatoes were just starting to form before it was almost time for frost. So, yeah. So, we have tomatoes here. And these are different kinds of tomatoes. I have Black Trim, Paul Robeson. I have a brand new tomato I tried this year based on a recommendation from, not Homestead Family, Living Traditions Homestead. So this is the Salvatierra right here. And it's supposed to be a wonderful, excellent producer of meaty type aroma tomatoes. So I'm going to compare these to the Amish paste that I seem to grow every year. Size-wise, they're a little bit smaller, but they're supposed to be a heavier producer. So we'll see. So yeah, this is my trial patch of Salvatierras. And then of course I have interspersed. I have done companion planting, which I do all the time. I've done it in the garden I've used for 7 years on the other part of the property. And with a bigger space, I was able to do a little bit more of a variety of companion planting. So I have some dill, and I have seen, I don't have any on here today to show you, but finally after 7 years of growing dill, I had quite a few swallowtail caterpillars on my dill plants this year. So that was exciting. I've been growing it for 7 years trying to get the swallowtail to come in. And now they're finally here. So exciting. We also have parsley. Occasionally I will see the swallowtail caterpillar on my parsley. They seem to like that too. And then I have gaillardias. Lots of flowers in here to bring in the pollinators and the beneficial insects to help, combat the bad pests and things like that. Snapdragons. These are like one of my favorite flowers. This variety is a shorter variety, but look at these colors. Isn't this beautiful? This is called Tequila Sunrise, and it's a mix of different colors, but they're just amazing colors. So I like to grow it for the colors, but one of my favorite varieties of snapdragons to grow is the Tall Deluxe, because it gets almost as tall as the gaillardia, if not taller. So these guys I have to be careful not to step on. And then these guys are my marigolds. One of the problems I've been having this year, because our weather has been really crazy, it's been really cool, which is wonderful to work in, wonderful to sleep in. But when it comes to plants, they need the heat. So my marigolds that I grew myself, they're just starting to bud out, so they haven't been able to repel pests that much because they haven't been in action. Alright, this patch here I am so excited about. These are my Calypso beans. I've been growing them for 4 years now. And this will probably be the first year I actually get to eat some of these beans. I was growing them for seed, and every year I would replant what I harvested from seed last year, and plant again for more plants and more seeds and stuff. And this year I have close to 150 plants in here. So I should be able to not only get planting seed, but I actually should get a pretty good harvest off these guys. Calypso beans are also known as orca beans. They're beautiful black and white dried bean. I will try to insert a picture here. But yeah, these guys can be finicky. Dried beans tend to be a little bit finicky. But these guys are actually looking better than my dragon's tongue beans, which I'll show you in just a minute. But we've been dealing with lots of disease with the beans this year. brown spot has been a major heavy hitter. So I've been using some copper fungicide and pruning off what I can to keep it at bay. But like I said, the weather has just been crazy, and yeah, plants and wetness and coldness don't get along, so a lot of disease this year. These guys are my Autumn Beauty sunflowers, so we'll see them open probably in the next week or so. I think they're still putting out, oh, there's a flower head forming. I was gonna say they're still putting out leaves, but no, that's a flower head there. Really, really pretty flower for the Autumn Beauty. These are my summer squashes. So they're doing pretty good. I do have some flowers here. I've been watching out for the squash bugs. I've already seen them on one plant on the other side of the garden, but I hit that right away with some neem oil spray and killed them off before they traveled, and it seems to have worked so far. We'll see how that goes. Then I've got some more herbs planted here. Lots and lots of herbs planted throughout the garden. It helps, again, with deterring the bad bugs and stuff and bringing in the beneficial insects and things. And I also grow a lot of medicinal herbs. So I have herbs planted everywhere in this garden here. One of the other late crops I've got growing, and we're not sure if we'll get a harvest or not. Just depends on how soon it grows. I'm starting to see tassels on it, which is a good sign. Alright, we're going to walk down the other side of the garden now. This is where the gaillardias and stuff, this is where I came in at. Then we got onions, lots of onions growing. And then some more herbs. Lots of weeds. I mean, man, I'm good at growing weeds, don't you think? This is some more beautiful dill. Doesn't it just look pretty? I don't know if the camera can pick it up right now. Let me see if I can zoom in. Y'all let me know if you can see it. But there is lots of tiny raindrops on the fronds of these dill. It's just sparkling like glitter. It's beautiful. Ah, yes, the wondrous things you see in a garden. All right, back out we go. All right, so on the end of this patch here, I have some banana peppers that I grew. And then remember me telling you about my dragon's tongue beans? Well, here they are. And again, the color is not the greatest of these guys. You can see they're kind of yellow. And we've been really trying to get the beans to make it through. Brown spot again has been a problem, and between the ground being too wet and the ground being too dry and being too hot, being too cold, it's been torture on these plants. But they are producing. I actually harvested a handful of beans this morning from these guys. So they are producing. I mean, I don't know if you can see all the flowers on them, but they are producing. So exciting here. We have some Swiss chard, and then we have some radishes. And then for the longest time, I could not remember what these things were right here. My plant identifier said it was mustards, but I'm like, that does not look like a mustard. And then I remembered what they were. These are my safflowers, and they're getting ready to put out flower heads finally. They bloom in the late part of summer. Very spiky flower heads, but they're called the poor man's saffron. It's a really neat plant as far as colors, and the bees love them. There's like yellow, orange, and red, I think, are the different blossoms. But yeah, so that's my safflower. And I see I have some over here. But anyway, and then my radishes. Let me show you the size of this radish. This is a purple plum radish. Let's see if I can pull one out here. So look at that beautiful thing. Isn't that pretty? And then I have another one. There she is. Look at the size of that thing. Isn't she gorgeous? So yeah, this is purple plum. And then I have white radish. And And then I think if my marker's correct, this should be giant. Let me see. No, this is my white, so hold on a minute here. Alright, I'm gonna have to dig that out, but you see the size of these radishes? Aren't they insane? Then Swiss chard. Lots of Swiss chard. I'm the only one who really eats it, so I was growing a lot of it for the farmer's market, but we had some issues with the market this year, so I stopped going for the season. So a lot of this will actually go to the chickens as supplemental chicken feed. And the reason that is we don't have a fence around this garden area. So my chickens cannot free range, which means they're not getting all this stuff out here. So I'm kind enough to take the stuff into them so they get all the wonderful benefits of fresh greens. Alright, so I'm going to bring you into the giant radish. It earns its name pretty good. Last time I harvested one, it was about the size of a teacup. So let me see if I can find them. And I thickly plant these on purpose. It keeps the weeds down. Okay, so here's one. So yeah, it's definitely a giant radish. These are beautiful. About the same size as that purple plum I showed you. But yeah, this is why I grow these. My husband loves radishes. So again, more bang for the buck. We love these guys. And, you know, the greens are great to eat as well. So, yeah. This is my sulfur cosmos. I have 3 different cosmos that I'm growing throughout the yard. I have this one, which is called sulfur. I have bright lights, which is orange and yellow. And then I also have my seashell, which is beautiful pastel pinks and purples. Really pretty. Alright, so here is some more Swiss chard. Doesn't that look cool? And then these are turnips. I grew these again for my husband. He loves these types of root vegetables, turnips and rutabagas and things like that. So I grew these for him. Let's see if we have any that are ready. Oh yeah, look at the size of that. Let's see if I can pull it out. Alright, look at that. Isn't she beautiful? So yeah, this is a purple top tomato turnip, I believe that's what it's called. There is some bug damage to it, but you know, it's alright. If the bugs are eating it, it must mean it's pretty good. And the chickens are gonna love those greens. There's another one right there. So yeah, really, really cool. So this kind of a mess here are rows of potatoes that we had growing in our pantry. They're potatoes that kind of got forgotten about, and so they started sprouting and things, and so we just planted them here instead of throwing them away because I had the space. And so quite a few of them germinated into full mature plants. Other ones did not grow at all. I have a beautiful bird flying around here. Let's see if I can zoom in before he flies away again. Down there. Beautiful yellow bird. He's eating some of my Swiss chard. That's okay. It's alright. They can do that. Probably eat some of my other bugs and stuff too. Alright, so back to the potatoes. A lot of folks say that the potatoes that you buy at the store, they're sprayed with a growth inhibitor. That way, if they do sprout or something, they won't actually grow into full plants. So you can't just buy a potato from the store, plant it in the ground, and expect to get potatoes. That's kind of the mindset. Because if you could do that, you would be putting potato farmers out of a job, so to speak. Even though a home-based farmer cannot grow the type of quantity of potatoes that potato growers grow. So yeah, so there might be some truth to that. Because I have one row that has like one plant in it. And then one row that has 3 plants in it, and that's it. So yeah, there might be some truth to that. Alright, then we got some onions. Onions were kind of hit and miss this year as far as planting them. Alright, lots of weeds. I do an excellent job of growing weeds. This is one of my squashes that I grew. This is the Turkish turban squash. Again, planted late. I'm not sure if I'll get a squash off it or not. We shall see. I do have flowers on them. So, yeah. And I also see that I do have squash bugs again. Let's see if I can zoom in. See those bugs there on that plant? Naughty, naughty squash bugs. So this is what was hit before with the squash bugs that I found. And then I treated it right away so they wouldn't spread. I can't really treat them today because it's going to rain again. And so the rain's just going to wash off any treatment I do. But I will take care of them somehow today. Maybe get some duct tape on them or something like that. So yeah, so that's one of the pests I deal with. I think everybody deals with those guys. Alright. These are my Kentucky Wonder Beans. These on the package were supposed to be the bush variety. But do you see the vines on these things? Yeah, I think they're either the vine kind or they cross-pollinated with a vining plant. I have not seen any flowers on these guys yet because they're trying to grow all these vines. So we'll see what happens here. If all else fails, they'll get pulled up and fed to the chickens. You know, you win some, you lose some. Some more Swiss chard, and then some broccoli and some cauliflower. And then we have some cabbage here. And this is amaranth. I've never grown amaranth before, but it's really pretty and puts out some good seeds that birds and things like. So you can also eat amaranth yourself. It's a grain that you can eat. So yeah, so trying it this year, seeing how it grows, and I'll let you know later on in the season if I decide to grow it again this year, or next year I mean. And then buried in here, like I said, these weeds are just insane. I left for a week, and there was like no weeds right here last week. There was none. I had weeded this before I left. And well, you can see how it is now. The lamb's quarter grows like crazy. And that's what most of the tall stuff is lamb's quarter. Which is edible, by the way. You can eat lamb's quarter. But yeah, these are Japanese cucumbers. Look at the size of those guys. They grow as big as squash do in just a short amount of time. See that? Japanese, got quite a few Japanese. Looks like I'll be making cucumber salad. And then there's also Market More. Cucumbers are back in there. They're the ones people are used to seeing at the grocery store, the smooth-skinned ones. See that? They're back there. These guys are another tale. It's kind of interesting. I had bought a big, huge bag of cranberry beans, and somehow, I don't remember, they got dropped all along the ground, and I wasn't in a hurry to clean them up, because I'm like, you know, either the birds will eat them, or, you know, whatever. I wasn't too worried about it. Well, they germinated. They actually started growing. So I transplanted all the ones that started growing and made a row of cranberry beans. So even though I have a huge container of cranberry beans, I didn't want to waste the seeds that were starting to grow, so I just planted them. So I'll have even more cranberry beans. Alright, so this is watermelon that I've been growing for the last 4 years. This is a yellow variety watermelon. Interesting story about this watermelon is I had bought it from a friend. I never had a yellow watermelon before, and boy, it was delicious. So I saved the seeds from it and planted my own plants. And it wasn't till later on that year that I found out that they're actually a hybrid variety. But I decided I was going to grow it anyways and save the seeds, and I've been doing that every year. I grow new plants and then save the seeds from that crop and replant those seeds. And so whatever this was originally, one of the big genes in there was the yellow color and just the wonderful sweetness. So I've kind of stabilized the genetic makeup of the seed so far, because like I said, I've been growing it for 4 years and saving the seed every year. So yeah, it's just a wonderful watermelon. It's kind of late in the season for these guys to grow, but at the same time, it might be a perfect time for these guys to grow, and I'll just have watermelon closer to the fall, which is fine. I love watermelon. Okay, so that's what my garden space is looking like right now. I got a lot of weeds growing very well, but I also have a lot of plants, of crops that are actually growing pretty good too for being this late in the season. I'm just so thankful, because this garden space here was a surprise to even be able to plant it at all this year. So I'm very happy with what I'm seeing so far. It's been quite the journey, which is what this channel is all about. So I thank you for following me along today and being with me on this journey through my brand new garden area. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can stay updated on the homesteading journey here. We have a small homestead, but I do what I can, and that is part of the journey as well. So until next time, folks, I hope that wherever you are, you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye, everybody.